Yay, part 3. I love this part. Okay.
Okay, are you recording this?
Yes, I'm totally recording.
Okay, I apologize.
It's all good. I still love you, handsome. Say hi to Ironhide, everybody. Okay. It didn't take long for Thundercracker to see that the text file contained no useful information whatsoever. It was some kind of story the girl had concocted regarding himself and Skywarp, and for some odd reason she had the two of them getting cuddly. He was not the cuddly type, and if Skywarp ever attempted to pin him down and kiss him, he'd twist the Black Seeker's wings into a pretzel. But very soon it got far worse than cuddly, and despite his shock and disgust, he couldn't tear his optics from the story. Holy Primus below, what the frag were they doing? You okay, dude? He glanced up to see a man in black robes giving him a concerned look through the pale makeup that covered his face and bald head. You talking to me? Yeah, I'm talking to you. You all right? You look like someone hit you upside the head with a 2x4. Mouth was hanging open and everything. I'm okay, he lied. Just about to purge a fuel tank on the floor here, thank you very much, crossed his CPU, but he opted not to say that out loud. Reading something. He quirked a non-existent eyebrow. You found the Yowie, didn't you? You have my sympathy, man. He gave a little wave and walked away. Thundercracker wondered what the frag Yowie was, then decided he didn't really want to know. He looked back at the text file, gave a little shudder, and closed out of it. Someone obviously needed a lesson in basic Cybertronian anatomy. The last time he checked, he didn't have that under his pelvic armor. See, he's right there. I told you. Oh my gosh, it's him. Eek, I could just die. Isn't he gorgeous? I just want to melt into the floor. Hearing the babble of female voices approach, Thundercracker glanced up and scanned the room, wondering who the poor sap was that the girls were about to mob. Probably some poor pretty boy of a celebrity. Human femmes certainly seemed to flock around them and swoon whenever the object of their affections so much as breathed in their general direction. But the only people in the lobby now were the frazzled receptionist, the still snoring guy in chainmail, and the rapidly approaching cluster of squealing, giggling females with a sickening sinking of his fuel tank. He realized the truth. He was the poor sap about to be mobbed. I told you guys, the girl in the Decepticon shirt began, then froze when she saw his hand still on the keyboard of her computer. Hurriedly, he snapped the unit shut and pushed it away. He's reading your fanfics, gushed another girl, this one wearing one of those ridiculous pleated skirts, a too tight white top, and a pair of fake cat's ears pinned to her bright blue hair. You're so lucky. I'd love for Prowl and Jazz to read mine. Decon girl blushed furiously. Are you sure he's not just wearing some super fancy costume? Asked another girl. At least, he assumed from the voice that this one was female, despite the fact that she was covered head to toe in cardboard and silver contact paper in a crude but recognizable mimicry of Megatron. I've seen some really good ones. Metal ones? Decon girl demanded, poking his shoulder. Trust me, this isn't a costume. No one can wear a metal costume without passing out. Besides, look at his face. And really look. Megatron girl bent down and peered closely at Thundercracker, closely enough to make him scoot back as far as the chair would allow. Her own face had been liberally smeared in some kind of gray paint, and her eyebrows had been greatly exaggerated with black makeup of some kind, but all the makeup in the world wouldn't make her suddenly resemble the Decepticon commander. That's not latex, she said finally, her mouth twisting thoughtfully. Funny, I always thought the face was a solid piece, just flexible, but it's a lot of overlapping plates. She reached out and tapped his cheek with one finger thoughtfully. Yes, it's overlapping plates. Don't touch, Thundercracker growled, pushing her hand away. The fourth girl in the little entourage, who would have looked perfectly ordinary were it not for the huge wooden paddle with the infamous word Yowie written on it that she was carrying, gasped in wonder. Oh, wow. I forgot how sexy his voice was. I never liked his voice in the cartoon, cat ear girl replied. I always thought of him as having a voice like Ewan McGregor. I thought he was supposed to have a Brooklyn accent, not a British one, Megatron girl replied, now poking at his wing. Ow! Thundercracker yelped, jerking the wing out of her reach. Don't do that! Oh, so the wings are as sensitive as the fanfics let on, purred Paddle Girl, reaching out and running a finger along the red stripe on his other wing. Don't touch, he snarled. This isn't a petting zoo. Unfortunately, none of the girls seemed to hear him. If anything, they took his protests as an invitation. Paddle Girl and Megatron Girl occupied themselves with his wings, while Decon Girl examined his left arm gun in minute detail. Cat Ear Girl settled for leaning so close to him she was nearly in his lap, stroking the side of his helm. "You're my favorite seeker, you know," she cooed. "I always thought seekers were hot, but you were, like, the hottest of them. I like broody, mysterious guys. And you're so much nicer than the average con, you know?" "Do you have me mixed up with Dirge or something?" thought Thundercracker, pressing back as far as he could in the chair in a vain attempt to get her out of his face. "And just because I'm not a fan of picking on the squishies doesn't make me fragging nice." His train of thought ended in a startled yelp, and he nearly leaped out of his seat as fingers traced the leading edge of his wing, one of the most tactile, sensitive areas of any Transformer's body. "Hands off!" he bellowed, struggling to stand up. "I won't tolerate any more of this." "Arg! Whose hand is that?" "Depends," giggled Decon Girl. "Whose aft is this? You call them afts, right?" "I call that my personal region, ma'am. Now move your hand." "What's under here anyhow?" she asked, rubbing his skid plate as if he hadn't spoken. "Always wondered what you guys looked like without the armor on." "I don't have time for an anatomy lesson," he snapped. "I have to contact Megatron and get help for Skywarp. He's injured and—" "Skywarp's here?" squealed Paddle Girl, clutching her Yowie paddle to her chest. "Oh, wow! You two are like totally my OTP!" "They're so cute together, aren't they?" agreed Decon Girl, giving his aft a final pat before drawing away. "I guess Warp owns your butt then, huh? So I better not touch. He might get jealous." "I don't want to know what the frag you're talking about," Thundercracker replied shortly. "If you can help me get in touch with the Decepticons, do so now. If you can't help me, leave me the slag alone." Megatron Girl snorted. "Crabby, isn't he? This is why I like Cybertron Thundercracker better." "Cybertron Thundercracker's weird," Cat Ear Girl complained. "I mean, come on, a cannon for an arm? G1 all the way for me." I lost my place. "I sure hope Thundercracker makes it into the new movie," Paddle Girl said eagerly, "or at least an animated. They need more Seekers." "I just wish they hadn't killed all the Seekers off in the new movie," complained Decon Girl. "The animated movie, not the live one." "They didn't kill the Coneheads," Megatron Girl pointed out. "I meant all the cute Seekers," corrected Decon Girl. "Starscream, Thundercracker, Skywarp. I don't care about the rest of them." Finally, it dawned on Thundercracker what was going on here. All this talk of movies and animation and fan stuff, it finally clicked in his CPU and cleared the befuddled fog from his processor. This wasn't his universe at all. Wherever Skywarp's teleporting mishap had taken them, it was somewhere where the Decepticons didn't exist except as purest fiction. These girls didn't take him seriously at all because in their minds he was simply a fictional character to idolize and fawn over. They didn't fear him in the least, for how could you fear something that in your universe was simply considered intellectual property? "Skywarp, I am going to feed you to these girls before I kill you," he vowed. "So, how long are you staying?" asked Cat Ear Girl eagerly. "If you need a place to recharge, I have space in my apartment." The gleam in her eyes was almost frightening. "You've got so much manga junk in your apartment, I'm surprised you can fit in there, let alone a Seeker," Megatron Girl pointed out. "Manga isn't junk," protested Cat Ear Girl. "I'm really embarrassed that I know that it's manga." "Besides, you're a fine one to talk," Paddle Girl retorted. "You can't take a step in your apartment without stepping on a Transformer toy." "So sue me, I like giant robots better than comic books," Megatron Girl grumbled. Manga, corrected Cat Ear Girl. "Not comic books." While the girls continued their debate, Thundercracker edged sideways, away from the chair and the pack of fangirls. While nowhere near as stealthy as Ravage or Mirage, he still did a credible job of slipping away unnoticed. That is, a credible job until his foot caught the laptop cord and yanked the machine off the table and onto the floor with a resounding clatter. "Hey, my compy!" Decon Girl exclaimed. "Hey, he's getting away!" Paddle Girl announced. Pause.